Well, first off, just want to say welcome to everybody jumping in tonight. Happy Labor Day for those on the North or the United States of America side of North America, I should say. But this is the fifth installment of Know Your Neighbors segment. Again, if you really want to know the history on it, you can watch some of my older videos, but it was started by a channel, then later taken over by Greg Porter of Greg's Garage, a coworker of mine, and then he passed the baton to me. So with that, we will roll the a little bit of intro music to kick this thing off. But welcome again to Know Your Neighbors. All right, well, if you guys are new to the segment or my channel, first off, I'm Grant Tommy, the host here. So my channel is Straight Six Fan, and I like to focus on a little something I like to call offbeat hot rodding, which is sort of focusing on budget-minded, creative, relatable builds. And the best example of that, of course, is a new project I picked up, the 1978 Ford Fairmont. I'll be unveiling more information about that project here in the coming days. But I like to do this segment to kind of spin around YouTube and get to highlight some of the channels I follow, and get to know some of the channels I follow a little bit better. And tonight, I would like to introduce on the other side, Jason Carr of Olde Carr Auto Guy. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Grant, thanks a lot for having me.
Hey, well, and it sounds like something I didn't know until today, as Facebook reminded me, but today is your 43rd birthday. So happy birthday, and I hope all of the everybody else joining in who can wish you some happy birthday accolades as well. But doing anything special this weekend for it?
Well, we got going up to some friends there. We stay at the campground most of the summer, so we're going up to some friends tomorrow, I guess, and maybe have some birthday cake and have some card games and whatnot, and just hang out. Do what friends do.
So I assume Canada doesn't have a 3-day weekend like we do down here this weekend, or?
Yeah, it is. It's the kind of the last long weekend of the summer. Kids are getting ready to go back to school here, and of course, I'm just finishing up my 2 weeks vacation. So back to work on Tuesday for me.
Well, Jason, usually where I like to start on shows like this is just getting to know. First of all, just tap into your brain a little bit about what possessed you or made you want to start a YouTube channel from the beginning.
Well, it's believe it or not, it was obviously from another YouTuber, and I followed Send It Steve, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not, but he's out of the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area. He's kind of part of that 717 crew, and he's a used car dealer down there, and so am I, and I own my own used car lot. So when I go looking for YouTubers to watch, I look for guys that have very similar interests to me. And I reached out to Steve, and him and I kind of hit it off a little bit. And I started following his channel back when he only had about 4,000 subscribers. And today, since January, he's up to about 22,000 subscribers. So he's been a pretty good inspiration just because I mean, he's not my age. He's closer to my age than some of these young guys with 3, 4, 500,000 subscribers, living in big houses and fancy cars and all that stuff. But he's the guy that really inspired me to say, you know what, if I can, if he can do this as a single dad and running a car lot and looking after his 3 girls and whatnot, then I've only got 1 kid. I'm kind of a child myself. My wife looks after me, so we do pretty good. And I said, you know what? I think this is something that I want to try and do. And you know, my wife gave me all the blessings in the world, and I thank her quite often for that, because I have found a true passion and a hobby in becoming a YouTube creator. So I have to thank Steve Freeman for kind of giving me that inspiration.
Well, speaking of your wife, is that who is donning the live chat at the moment? Is Do I get that right?
Yeah, she likely is. I asked her if she was going to join, and she asked for the link, so I gave it to her, and so she's probably there. Hey, honey.
Well, at least now she knows you're not getting into trouble right now, right? So this is live proof.
Hey, here I am. She knows where I am.
Well, it's funny you talk about the inspiration that sometimes it's easy to gather from others to get us stuck in this crazy YouTube thing, right? But one of the things that I think, it's been this year's been crazy with the whole the new creator, all of the monetization stuff that changed. I was monetized and didn't. So I've just picked up so many subscribers over this past year. I've been very fortunate, and as a result, I also found a whole bunch of people that I probably otherwise wouldn't. So I can't I can't ever remember how I found your channel, how you maybe found my channel, who came first. But obviously, there's some overlap in interests, and of course, you have the used car dealership part, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But after we initially maybe followed each other on YouTube, we found each other on Instagram, and I remember we had like a long direct message back and forth, and I didn't know where you were at the time, and of course the 2 hour time zone change, I was probably like forcing you to stay up till like 1 in the morning. We were having this conversation, and we realized we shared so many similar interests beyond what probably shows up on our YouTube channels. And you just turned 43, I'm 33, and I feel like we're just like the same person almost, just 10 years apart. Aside from it probably would take me 10 years to get your beard, but um, let's just talk a little bit about in one of those common interests we started with. I think cab over trucks is what in rat rods is where we started, but we wound up realizing, and the proof is behind you, your 1978 Chrysler Cordoba, that you are bold enough and willing to upgrade or modify or work on a car built between 1973 and 1981, like myself. Something I like to call odd bodies. But talk to us a little bit about how you landed on deciding that you wanted to fix up a Chrysler Cordoba.
Well, it really, first of all, it's a 79, so I'll just correct you
Sorry.
on that, but that's okay. This car, and of course, my wife can attest to this because I've had the car longer than I've had her. Um, I bought this car originally in 1995. And in 95, obviously, if you do the math, I was 20 years old. And I didn't have a whole lot of money. I had an okay job washing cars at the local GM garage. And one of the guys that owned or that worked in the body shop, his name was Tony. And Tony pulled in one day to work with this car, and it wasn't like this by any means when he had it. In fact, it was blue and white. So the bottom part was blue, the top was white, and mostly original. 318. It had I think it still had the 727 transmission and 271 gears. So uh, pretty decent fuel mileage, no power, working air conditioning, power windows, all that good stuff. So he brought it into work because he said he wanted to sell it. And as soon as I saw this thing, I had seen them before and I didn't quite know what it was. And I almost instantly fell in love with it. So long story short, I bought the car in 1995 for $2,750 is what we had worked out. Fast forward to 2000 and oh my goodness, 2001, I believe it was. And of course, my son was just born in 2000. And at the time, my wife and I were struggling newlyweds with a newborn kid and no money. So I kind of said, well, you know what? The car doesn't mean as much to me as you and having a new kid. So the car's got to go. So I ended up selling the car. 2 or 3 years later, um, I had the opportunity to buy the car back. Now, granted, I wasn't looking for the car, but the fellow that had it at the time said, I just bought your old Cordoba. It's sitting in a field out in Honeydale, which is about 10 miles out of town. And the guy's dog is living in it. And I'm like, what? So we take a drive out. Of course, here's the car. The interior is just trashed. Um, Actually, the fender that you're looking at right there, the rear fender was had a little bit of rust on it when I got it, but by now it had a great big hole in it. And the hood was all dented to pieces, and a connecting rod was literally falling out of the block on the engine, so it wouldn't run. Long story short, again, I'm making it a long story. I just keep talking, but
That's okay. We have time.
there you go. So I bought the car back for $500, and I'd have paid a heck of a lot more at the time just to get the car back, because then I was in a better job. I was making a little bit more money, and so $500 wasn't that big of a stretch for me just to go out on a whim and buy this car back and just park it in my driveway as opposed to the field. 2007, I started restoring it, and it's been a very big part of my life and my wife's life. Like I said, it's been around as long as her and I have been together. Next year we celebrate our 20-year wedding anniversary. So, uh, you know, I celebrate that with her, be, with the car as well, because we share so many memories with this car right from the time we first had it. In fact, there was a time where she was driving the car back and forth to work when she lived or when we were first married. She worked out of town, and she was driving it. I think it was probably 15, 20 miles out of town to go to work. So now here it sits with a lot of upgrades. Obviously, the paint, the two-tone paint is silver and charcoal gray. Those are 2008 Chrysler 300 colors, right from Mopar. And the American Racing Hoopster wheels, the BF Goodrich tires, 360 V8 Edelbrock carb intake cam. It's just lots of upgrades, probably somewhere in the vicinity of about 325, 350 horsepower. And with the new 321 gears, it'll burn rubber, and that's what makes it worth a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. I can I can relate to a lot of the things that you said with the. I can't remember. I looked up the axle code on my Fairmont. It's either 347 or no 247s or 273s right now with no guts as well. On top of that, like you said, and I may have just bought something that's right around the same gear ratio as what you just talked about tonight. But one of the things that I think that's interesting that I kind of got to remind myself of is, since we're talking across the country lines right now, is like, so $500. I had to remind myself, okay, actually that's not the $500 I would think of from in 2001 terms. Back then, what the conversion rate, pretty close to 1 to 1, or like,
No, the it is as long as I've been living on the border, like 35 years now. I've only ever seen the money come to par a couple of times, and once was just a few years ago. But right now it's sitting at about 35%, which means your American dollar is worth $1.35 in Canadian money. And that's probably pretty close to what it was you know, back in that time, back in 2000. And actually, I think it was 2000 and 2003 or so when I bought the car back. So yeah, I mean, you're talking 350, $400 American at the time.
okay, okay, yeah. Well, it is beautiful. I do love your color combo. That I'm glad you told us what cars those or what era and car that came from. The 300. But one other thing, I just wanted to give a couple shout outs. Some people who've just been stopping in. Of course, Toolbox footage just dropped in. Doug Sweener's been in here for a while, married and parented as well. And then guy I like down there in Arizona, Jason. Shoot, of course, now I've lost his screen name because it's one that I can't rattle off the top of my head. But Johnson T963. Yeah, okay, I got it right. He said he thinks your car looks pretty solid right now. But the other interesting thing is like that time frame you talk about. So my older brother bought his 77 Nova, or technically my parents bought that car back then, but it was right around that same time, like 99, 2000. And so just kind of thinking about the what you paid versus what he paid. of course, it sounded like you had your work cut out for you when you bought it back. But in terms of your car, what are you? Of course, we're never done modifying, but do you have it pretty much where you like it, or is there something we should expect on the horizon to maybe see change a little bit?
No, I mean, when you're building a car for you, I don't think the job is ever done. And before I go too much further, I heard you say that you saw married and parented in the comments. So this is a guy that you'll see a video come out on my channel tomorrow, and Aaron, who is married and parented, he's the dad, makes kind of a cameo appearance in that video. So I want to shout out to Aaron and say thanks for supporting me as well as Grant in this live feed, and showing up and listen to what we have to say. So yeah, you're never done when it comes to a car build. I don't believe it doesn't matter whether you're building it from scratch, like a rat rod, or a custom, or you've got something like what I have here or what you have in your Fairmont. There's always something that you want to do more of. Now, this car had air conditioning when I first owned it, but when I got it back, it didn't work. So I've never had air conditioning back into the car. We've had the hottest summer that I can remember ever, um, or at least for a long time this year, and I haven't driven the car very much because of that. Um, I did some videos where I installed some Dynamat insulation in the car, so that helps keep the heat out from underneath. But nevertheless, if you're going on a long trip, you got to drive with the windows down. It's loud, and if it's really hot, it's just simply not comfortable. So I'd like to put air conditioning back in it someday, cruise control. But the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to right now is the putting a four-speed transmission back into it, or not back into it, but into it. Right now with the 727, they're only a three-speed transmission. So I'm looking at going with an A518, which is a four-speed with overdrive. So the new gears that I put in last summer, the 321s, if I'm driving down the highway at 70, 75 miles an hour, this thing is just screaming. So I can't, even if I'm doing the speed limit, it's very hard to maintain that because the engine is just over revving. So I think going with that transmission will be the next big upgrade. I've talked about it a few times in some videos, as well as talking about it on social media. So I'm actively looking for one of those transmission right now, uh, and where I'm likely going to find one is a two-wheel drive Dodge Dakota, probably somewhere like around a 92 to 94 range. What's ironic about that is my son Junior, who I mentioned on the videos quite a bit, just sold his 92 Dakota, two-wheel drive truck.
I do remember that
Um,
one actually, as you mentioned it.
yeah, so I should have just stole the transmission of it. But anyways, that's the biggest thing that I want to do in the very near future. So when I say near, it'll likely be a fall or winter project for me this year. My dad is a 35-year transmission mechanic, and that's the reason why he got out of doing transmissions, was because they all went electronic. And when he was almost 50 years old, he said, "I don't really want to go back to school to learn what electronic transmissions do."
Yeah.
So he got out of it then, and so he's still quite familiar. An A518, for those who don't know, is still a 727 three-speed transmission with just an extra gear stuck on the tail shaft, and lock-up torque converter to give you the overdrive.
Well, again, Johnson T963. If you guys aren't following him, he's got a pretty killer build on I want to say a 1931 pickup build, Ford model. I don't know if they made Model A trucks, but anyway, he can correct me in the comments. But he asked the question of, is all the air conditioning infrastructure still in the car at the moment?
The only thing that's still in the car right now is just what's under the dash. So your heater core and all your plumbing there. I did buy a new Reman AC pump, but the lines, the condenser, evaporator, all that stuff is gone. So I'm going to have to, more than likely, just because of the vintage of the car, I'm more than likely going to have to go with an aftermarket setup, like a vintage air product, to replace everything. and start right from scratch. It's probably going to be a $300 to $3,500 US build to do that. Um, and with the way the dollar is right now, that was the biggest thing of why I've been putting it off for so many years, is because the dollar kind of went south real quick for us. And of course, now Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau have the tariff wars going on back and forth. So you can't even go to Calais, which is right across the border, 2 minutes away, and buy a pizza without paying about $3 tariff on
Ugh.
it. Let's not go politics, please.
No, but I mean, and actually, it's best to leave it there because, like, I mean, that says it all. Like how ludicrous things can get, like in a hurry. Like that's like I don't know if you could top that example anyway. Just to tell you all you needed to know in one comment. But
Yeah.
um, so let's talk a little bit about then just your operation, your used car dealership, and tell us a little bit about like so how does one decide that's what they want to do? Like, how did you get your start? Was it a progression? Was it kind of a you knew right away this is what I want to do, or just tell us, walk us through what got you into the used car business.
It started off probably, I mean, I'm 43, so my dad's been a car guy for as long as I've been a part of him. So cars have really been a part of our lives uh, forever. So when he got into the transmission business back in the winter of 89-90, he built a street rod. It was a 37 Chev. Um, so it had all modern running gear, all that stuff. And back then I was only 14, 15 years old, but I still had the ability and the want to help him do that. As my life progressed and I got older and more mature, I ended up in the automotive industry myself as a service manager for a big garage here in town. And that kind of set my sights on knowing that I didn't want to be a service manager, but that I did want to work for myself in some capacity. And I've always had that drive to want to work for myself. So being in the customer service industry, in sales, is kind of where I really got my start. And then into management and service manager, and then obviously now running my own business. In 2008, when the economy took a big dive, my dad at the time lost a lot of his investment when he sold the transmission business that he had started. So he wanted to get back into doing something, and he just thought maybe, I'll buy a car, fix it up a little bit, flip it, which was really the beginning of where we are now. So in 2008, in October of 2008, so we're in just a month or so, we're coming up on 10 completed years in the car business with our dealer license, where he applied for his license. We started buying a few cars at auction, two or three at a time, fixing them up. He was doing it as a full-time gig for him, and I was still working as a service manager. So I would take Thursdays off from work. That was my day off, so that Dad could go to the auction and buy some cars. And what I would do is I would kind of go man the 3 or 4 cars that we did have. Once we moved into our own, we rented a building. We were there for a few years in 2009 till 2013, I believe. The building was a rat hole. When it rained outside, it rained inside. When the wind blew, it blew through the building. So we needed to upgrade from the dump that we were in and really establish ourselves. We bought the property that we're on right now, and in 2010 is, I guess, when I made the decision to get done working at the garage I was at and kind of take a leap of faith into the automotive business and start full time with my dad. So it was just Dad and I. In 2010. In 2013, we hired a fully licensed mechanic. And in 2016, I hired a salesperson. My young fellow works in there part time. So it was a true progression of just a hobby into we went in debt. We built a building. We built our inventory up. We started hiring employees. Um, I've got including myself. I think there's six and a half of us all together. Sorry, five and a half, including myself that work there. The half being Junior, who is our car wash guy, and it really is a fun family that we work with there, and everybody gets along. We have a great time. So that's how we got there. This the long way around it, but it was truly a progression of starting with just one or two, and here we are with an inventory of probably about 25 to 30 cars today.
Oh, well, you just stole my next question. I was going to ask about the inventory, but um, it, it's it is awesome though to like see the fruits of your labor kind of work their way up to where you built it now. And I know you've got one of the great things about I do like about your channel is you've got which I don't you can tell the viewers as soon as I'm done yapping. Um, how long this series has been going on, but you do kind of just vehicle reviews. I think they're Tuesdays, I think. Um, but it's actually I had never thought about it until I saw you posting them. That it's like, well, this is a good way. Whenever I'm ready to buy my next daily driver car, which will be a used car, it'll be good to kind of know someone's thoughts on, because you see so many different cars and you can compare and contrast. But um, what so tell us a little bit about that series of videos and what you've enjoyed the most about just um, doing those reviews every so often, however often that is.
Well, just like my business, my YouTube channel has evolved a little bit into what you see today. And when I finally decided that I wanted to commit myself to three different videos a week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings, I said it's a lot of content to try and keep producing on an ongoing basis. And one of the easiest things to do was to find one day, pick one day, and do something similar on that one day each week that people may or may not, because I don't know, but based on the views, people are liking the Reviews Day Tuesday channel post that I will pick one vehicle from my lot and I will do. I don't want to call it an in-depth. I mean, I'm not Doug DeMuro. I'm not going to sit there and pick apart the style and color of the switches on the dash, but uh, this is a review on that car that I have on my lot, not the 20, the 2 or 3 million other ones that are out there in the world somewhere. This is the one that I have here, and I'm not afraid to pick apart if it's got a scratch or a dent or this or that, because it's that particular car. I'm trying to cater my channel not just to um, all my subscribers necessarily, because I know a lot of them get a kick out of seeing what I have on my lot and this and that. But I also have a local audience that when I share those posts on my Facebook, on my company's Facebook page, they're going to see these videos too. So I want them to know that when they look at these cars, that this is what they're getting. And if there's something that I don't like about it, uh, I'm not going to be afraid to say what it is that I don't like about it. But you also got to be careful too, because you don't want to be picking your own car apart, and somebody comes in and says, "Oh yeah, well he didn't like it because of that, so I don't like it either." There's a happy medium. Um,
Mhm.
I try and compare one car essentially to another one. So, for instance, I did the 2016 Hyundai Elantra for this past Tuesday, and tomorrow I will post on my Instagram three more vehicles for my followers to choose which one they want to see. So it's interaction with them as well to get the word out there to say, okay, here's three vehicles of mine. Which one do you want to see a review on? And that's actually one of the things that Aaron Wilson, who is the married and parenting guy, had suggested to me was try and get a little more interaction with your channel viewers. And so that was one of the big things that I felt was a good implementation to have. Every Tuesday, it's a review day. That's you know what you're going to get. You know what to expect on that day.
Yeah, the consistency thing as a YouTuber is I, and before I got into YouTube, I did podcasting, and um, it's it sounds like one of those things that and I apologize. I'm reading something in the comments before I blab on. Twisted R Racing just wanted everybody watching to know that he has an airbrush painting that he's raffling away. That to support the Wounded Warriors project, and he's got a video and details about that on his channel. So check out Twisted R Racing and his raffle if you're interested. Definitely go take a look at that. But where was I? Oh, the consistency thing. So when I podcasted, I just reflected on myself when I was doing that, and it's like I was a huge sports talk radio junkie, and I liked knowing that especially right now, 11 a.m. on Thursdays was the specific newspaper editor that they talk college football, and I love college football, so it's nice knowing like, oh yeah, hey, so and so is going to be on, and being that consistent. Similarly with a TV show, a lot of us fall in love with some sitcom or something, and know, okay, hey, the wind is today night at 8. I gotta tune in to Suits is what a show I like. So the this Tuesday reviews day, I think is a fantastic idea, and it's a fantastic bit of advice for any YouTube creator out there. Um, and especially, YouTube even gives you the tools to schedule and upload if you really want. Like that's why I try to do 8:30 on Sunday nights as best as possible. Just so people know if they're one of your true subscribers, and you can kind of build up anticipation for one. And the fans they'll come. So definitely, I think that's always a good piece of advice. Jason, one of the other videos recently that you uploaded, which I thought was a really interesting idea, but you self-admitted, obviously, in the video that you weren't the first one to figure this out or to come up with this idea, but still, it was still fun to watch. Was the just to see how many miles you could go when the car tells you have 0 miles to empty, and so maybe for those who haven't watched it, those in the live stream, to maybe take us through your emotions of what what that experience was like.
Well, first of all, I got to give credit to Dan Gimmel. For those who don't know Dan, he's got a YouTube channel called Gimme D on Cars, and I gave him credit for that because I don't even know. I guess I do know how I stumbled upon his channel. He's the one that got me all set up with the case and the external mic for my GoPro to get better quality sound. And so I started pawing through some of his channels, and one of the recent videos that he had posted was on his Mazda 6, this exact little project. And I thought, man, what a great way to interact with your viewers and your subscribers to try and get them to guess how far you went and sell on the anticipation while the video is going on. So if you follow the channel at all, I had my wife's old van. It's a 2006 Toyota Sienna, 391,000 miles. And I decided, hey, what better way to run this van through the gambit of 0 miles to empty than a Sunday afternoon when the weather's great. So I grabbed my camera. The odometer was, or the computer was getting down, and we drove. And I drove and I drove and I drove in this van from the time it said it gave me 0 miles to empty. I don't want to give it away because if you haven't seen that video yet, you got to go watch it. Let's just put it this way: it's more than 50 miles that I went on that van. And I, while I was recording, and of course I didn't put some of it, I didn't put that part in the video, but while I was editing it, I edited out the part where I'm time lapsing me just looking off and tapping the steering wheel and wondering when is this ever going to end. But that is something that I got a lot of feedback from. I think it's watched videos in recently, and I've got people who are asking me on. In fact, Junior and I went to St. John yesterday. St. John's only about 65 miles from here. We had to go at the Kia dealership and drive it back. And before we got in, I said, "How much gas is it?" He says, "Only about a quarter of a tank." And I said, "See if you can find where it says distance to empty." He says, "Well, it's kilometers." Well, it's about 110 kilometers if you do the math to St. John. And I said, "Well," I said, "here's my credit card. Stop at the gas station and get gas before you head out of town." And he looks at me 100% serious and says, "More in this tank than what it says on the gauge." So he knew that he could probably make it home and have lots of gas left over. But I will be doing that video again, and I'm going to be collaborating with another YouTuber with his video to do that.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, collaborations are another great way. If you're um an up and coming YouTuber like ourselves, and for instance, Doug Sweeter is in the chat. He just mentioned that he just hit the 500 subscriber milestone. So congrats, Doug, on that. But collaborations are such a great way of doing it. I mean, that's why I do this. Honestly, is this is a really good way to collaborate. And because I like to say that even though we think we know each other because we see, but when we're all producing our own content, we're always just showing, like, for the most part, kind of one little window of our lives. And so I think having the conversation like this is always a little better way to get a little deeper into things. Um, but yeah, collaborations are, and I'll be honest, I haven't really done anything super creative outside of these things. Collaboration wise, I went and visited one local person, but really nothing too creative. But that's exciting to know you've got something like that come up. And now, is this different than I think it was an Instagram post, or maybe it's a video I haven't watched yet, but you ran into two individuals. I can picture the thumbnail, and you said, "Guess who I ran into," or something, and there's two individuals. Is that the same collaboration, or is that something different?
Well, it's the I think earlier I had mentioned that video was coming out on Saturday. It was actually yesterday's video that went out yesterday morning. That I met up with two of those guys. One of them was Aaron from Married and Parented. The other one was Justin Connors, and he's got a channel called oh my goodness, he's going to kill me. Finding the Beautiful, and he does personal vlogs. So him and I met together at Taco Boys, which is a new restaurant in another city in Fredericton, and we just did some shooting back and forth with each other, and we had fun with this. So later on that day, because I know that Aaron works at the local Christian radio station, I said, "Well, I'm going to go over and check out the studio and just meet up with Aaron." And so him and I did that. We just did a quick little, you know, minute and a half little plug there with each other. And so those two guys I've been following for a while, and we're growing. We're both, of course, I'm sitting here at 300 and change subscribers. They're both over 1,000, which is kind of my ultimate goal. But that collaboration is a big part of helping each other grow, because I may bring my subscriber base to them and them to me. Just because they're doing family vlogs doesn't mean that there's not somebody out there that watch them that might not be a car guy. So they may stumble upon this and become a new subscriber of mine. And just because guys are car guys who follow me doesn't mean that they don't want to follow, a good
Yeah, they
wholesome
don't have other
family.
interests or something.
Exactly. So that's why I enjoy, the collaboration aspect of this, and the fact that I'm able to do this with you, and I'm certainly appreciative of it. Uh, while you were talking a minute ago, I just happened to check my subscriber count, because it was 302 when I come in here, it's at 305 right now. So I gained 3 subscribers, I think, since this thing has been going on. So I thank you guys for that. But definitely the collaboration is fun, and it's especially fun when you get two guys who or two people who have very similar interests, who are on the same path, who enjoy the same things and the same weird cars or oddities or whatever, and we're just having fun with it, right? Like, um, so in the future, can I picture myself doing collaborations with other car guy YouTubers? Absolutely. I'd love to. So if there's anybody out there and you're within driving range, I mean, I know obviously you can drive to Kansas just like you can drive to California, but I wouldn't want to do it today. So I think the idea is that, I'm open to collaboration now, and it's not just to help me, but to help others too, right? It's a win-win for everybody.
Well, and I also appreciate your support. If the viewers haven't been able to tell already, Jason bought one of my T-shirts. So shameless self plug. If you want one of these sweet T-shirts, there's a link in the description below. When this becomes an actual video and not the live stream, I don't know if it shows up at the moment, but hopefully I've picked up another subscriber today too through this, because when I checked before I got on, I was at 666. So I really would like to get off of that number sooner than later.
I'll tell you what, I'll go unsubscribe until you get the next one, then I'll come back. How's that
Okay.
sound?
I'm not super superstitious, but out of all like number things, that's the one that I don't like much.
Yeah.
So but
My wife is the same way. Being in the car business, of course, we handle brand new license plates on a regular basis, right? So every once in a while, the 666 will come through, and of course, you got to put that on a vehicle. And there's in the 10 years that we've been doing this, there's only ever been one time. Of course, that number doesn't come up very often, but there's only ever been one time where the customer that buying that car, the only negotiating she did was she didn't want that 666 license plate on her car. So, for $50 for a new set of plates, I was more than happy to accommodate and and sell that car for her.
that's interesting. I actually so and another value I'll add to the live stream is I'll give away some secrets for because I haven't created the next Fairmont video. So today I bought a new 8.8 rear end. It was out of a 92 Lincoln Mark 7. And it did a couple of things for me. It gives me 5 lug wheel pattern, which the Fairmonts are 4. It's going to get rid of that crappy gear ratio. That's going to make me move a little faster. 327's no barn burner, but from where I'm moving up from, it's it's quite the jump. It's a track lock rear, so it's limited slip, and
Yeah.
the 8.8 is a little bit stronger than the old 7.5 is what it had. But anyway, I stink at my negotiating skills, and that's one of the things that I was hoping I would get better at through the course of this budget build. Is like I have to get better at it to pull this off. And I had come up with my different ideas, and I was like, yeah, you know what, one's kind of weird, because I've been contacting this guy. Because when I'm selling parts, one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody asks me how much I want for something when I clearly have already listed what I wanted for something in my ad, and it's like I had been conversing with this guy for back and forth email wise, you know, various different questions, and it's like I can't really like play the. I'm too honest of a guy. I couldn't play the dumb role of like, well, would you take 410? But I showed up with cash because I was going to pay in cash. But this guy, so it was $450, and so he let me go look at the rear end before I committed to buying, and it looked good. And I come back in, and he's like, "Well, that's going to be 492 because he tax onto it." And I was like, well, I didn't know you were gonna like. I felt really dumb. I was like, I didn't even think about tax, And I told the guys like, so here's 450, and he's like, oh, that's okay. I'll just give it to you for 450. And it's like, okay, so I kind of, in the end, I kind of won. Like I got to get it for cheaper than what I was supposed to, but not because I got better at negotiating. So
Well, negotiating certainly is an art. When you're in the business to do it, it's you really got to learn to hold your cards. But nevertheless, I think When it comes to selling, it's a little bit different than it is when you're buying. Of course, when I buy cars, I'm trying to buy one car that 10 other guys want too. So it's who's going to pay the most for it, who's going to stop. You only ever lose the sale of a car usually by about $100. So how far are you going to go?
Yeah. And I apologize. I was just trying to get a comment. Doug Sweener was asking me, no, Grant, it too big. The car is a Mustang form. I'm not really sure what you meant by that, but no, the 8.8, it's the same. It's a Fox body. It's a Fox body. It's got the same link tabs as my Fairmont. They didn't change their axle design, whether it's an 8.8 or 7.5. It's all going to bolt up. And it's a rear disc brake axle as well. I forgot to mention that. It's not necessarily because I feel like I need that great a stopping power, because this thing, even when I'm done, it's not going to be that fast. The budget's going to keep it from really getting too fast. But I figured the other part of, because sort of like you mentioned your dad, Jason, wanted to kind of just get into flipping cars, and that's the purpose of my build. And I intend on doing an episode where I kind of really just lay out, here's the why this is a $4,000 budget build car. But one of the reasons, it's literally just to learn and to get better mechanic skills is part of it. Two, I just don't have space. I just have a 2-car garage. So yeah, winters probably for me aren't as bad as your winters, Jason, but it's really nice not having to scrape your frost windows in the morning in the wintertime. So I do want to park my daily driver back in in the garage eventually. So that's
Try having
another
25 cars.
yeah. So but anyway, I figure like doing the 8.8 upgrade, that means whoever is looking for a car like a Fairmont to do a budget build, but they might have a little bit bigger budget than I did. That's going to be a nice little platform ad. They're going to know they can throw more power at this rear end than the stock one. And the 5-lug rear was just so I can get better wheels, because that thing dramatically needs better wheels. But really, Jason, I'm out of specific questions for you. I would open it up for those in the chat. If you have any specific questions for myself or Jason, feel free to lob them in there. But we'll reverse roles, I guess, for a second. Jason, if you have any questions for me, go ahead.
Well, I guess the only thing that I really wanted to or kind of reach out to you was, following the Rat Rod Radio Flyer build is, I know the simple answer for when somebody asks why is why not, but what specifically drew you to do that little project that you seem to be making some great headway on right now?
That is a really good question, because so I mentioned, Greg Porter is he's the guy that I worked with. We have a Colorado office now, and he has moved to Colorado. Greg's Garage, if you haven't enjoyed, or if you haven't found his channel yet, check him out. Greg's Garage. There's actually 2 YouTube channels that have the same, but his logo is a circle green with a G in it. So when I first started working at the new company, he and I had some conversations when we were getting to know each other. He's a car guy, and that obviously we hit it off there. And I was doing my podcasting thing at the time, and he was sort of like asking me, well, do you make any revenue off that, this, that, and the other? And he started telling me about the access to revenue via YouTube. And of course, with my project car, I've been wanting to do this for, I think, if you watch my Dear David Freiberger video, I explained, I've been wanting to do this for like 20 years to have a project car. So the Rat Rod Radio Flyer at the time was with the 2-car garage, as I explained, and without the finances, that sort of project to scratch that itch, if you will, and have space for it, and to not to get out of the way an excuse of the why not. And it was just kind of one of those things. I had come up with the idea, and not that, again, it's sort of similar to, um, it, I'm not the first one to come up with that idea, but I definitely started my project before Cars and Cameras did theirs. Um, you can go back and check the upload times, but I kind of got fixated on, oh, that'd be really cool. That's kind of what I like. Ultimately, I'd love to build a real rat rod, and again, it checked a bunch of boxes. Like, I can do it. I've got space for it. The wagon actually came out of my grandmother's farm. This woodshed that this like it had a dirt floor bottom, and I knew exactly where it was going to be. That it's really damp in there, and she passed away 9 years ago, and I started this project 3 years ago, surprisingly. And I asked my uncle, who still lives on the property, if that was still around. I knew I could get one for free because I knew he wasn't using it if it still existed, and sure enough, it did. And I just knew it was going to have like a perfect patina to it, having sat there for that would have been like 6 years probably at least. And that's the history on that project.
Yeah, well, it's pretty neat because just because we're car guys doesn't mean we don't entertain other mechanical needs and wants, right? So sometimes it's whether it's a motorcycle or a four wheeler or a boat or a rat rod radio flyer.
Mr. Something Basic says cars and cameras suck because they cut too many corners. I mean, they're still entertaining. I know what he means, but it's kind of like following David Freiberger on Instagram. I mean, the guy has access to do and the skills to do great projects, but he's still not afraid to put the zip tie on the autometer gauge pod just to get his vanishing paint CUDA across the country. So I mean, it's like,
Well, and it
okay,
doesn't
come,
doesn't hurt to have an unlimited budget either, right?
yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm just like. I don't know. I mean, I do. Obviously, I have a video dedicated. I love the guy, but at the same time, it's like, can you maybe every one out of every 10 cars do something like just straight up nice?
Yeah,
Try. But
yeah.
anyway, that's his. It's more about the fun though, and that's what that video is about. Is the appeal of the project car is having fun, and that's what I'm hoping with my $4,000 budget I can prove. Okay, you can take your time, you can make things nicer, and have a budget car. Not cut corners. That's what my goal is to do. But you know how that stuff goes, though. Every time you're up against a deadline, like, oh, this will be good enough for now. I just want to get this thing running. Like at some point, you kind of lose the patience. So you're always battling that too. But
Yeah, hence the no air conditioning after all these years.
you don't beat yourself up. All right. Married and Parented asks Jason if anyone sent you any music for your intros or any music intros at the moment. If not, make a Facebook poll or video on your Instagram. Get that voice out there. Get that reach.
Yeah, so in that video that went out today or yesterday, that was one of the suggestions that Aaron had mentioned was reach out to your subscriber base and your followers to see if there's any musicians or graphic artists out there who might have some talent and be willing to offer you a like an intro graphic to your channel or an intro custom audio, like custom music or something like that to get into it. So that was the first video that request kind of went out on. Tomorrow's video is the same, and I'm gonna start asking and reaching out for that, and even with the video where I talk about being on your live stream, um, I I have reached out again just because it's interaction. Once you get somebody that's in and has skin in the game with your channel, then they're a subscriber and they're like a friend, and you've got that connection with that person. So to answer his question, have I had anybody reach out? I do have one local guy who is a really good friend of mine who is really good with music. He can play just about any instrument going. Um, and when it comes to movies and graphics, he's the one that got me onto the editing software that I use to edit my movies, and he has offered up a little bit. So I I purposely wanted to put that out there, and thanks, Aaron, for checking up on me for starters. But thanks for allowing the communication back and forth between subscribers to see who's out there and see who is willing to get their name out there too by having that offering.
Well, again, that's another good piece of advice because I'm off and on when I watch the different YouTube creators of like help make your YouTube channel better type of content. But one of the ones that Think Media TV, Sean Kinnell, always suggests is what you're talking about, is that interaction piece. But like, always remember to try to lob out a question in your video to sort of instigate or that the comments. I mean, you want people to comment, you want that interaction, but like, and he's and sometimes there are certain things that it doesn't hurt to just be super obvious about, where it's like, because in his videos you're like he'll the video's over, but then like the screen goes black and he goes to another screen. He's like, question of the day, what do blah 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 blah, and that's how he ends before that end screen comes up. And that's just a really simple way. You got to put a little thought to it, but I think that's something I don't do often enough. That Jason, I think that's good practice, and I think that will be very fruitful moving forward.
It is, yeah, it is, and I do follow a couple of those YouTube help channels, and Dan Courier from Creator Fundamentals is one who I kind of watch faithfully, and he has a live stream every Wednesday night on his channel, and I tune into that quite faithfully. Um, and yes, it does go on to like 11:30, 12 o'clock my time because he's a little further inland, but uh, he's looked at my channel and given me some pointers. And one of the biggest ones that he gave me that I've been following to a T is the thumbnails, making sure your thumbnails are consistent. I've done that. The interaction, I have a mental checklist when I'm doing a video of the 500 things that I want to do during that video. And if I can get 10% of that out when I'm done, hey, I think I'm doing great. So uh, sometimes, you're doing things and you say, oh, by the way, what do you guys think I should do? So a good example of that is when I had the car pinstriped back a few months ago. I got some interaction with that and saying, well, what color do you guys think I should do? And I listed 3 colors that I had, and I got a lot of interaction on that too. So that is key. It's getting your subscribers entertained, get them commenting, getting them to like that, get them to share your videos. I mean, that's the key. If you're entertaining your subscribers, then they're going to be entertained, and they're going to want to be entertained more. So that is a big thing with that interaction.
Yeah, the sharing is huge, because I mean, the best way for you to get more views is to get it out in front of more people, and that's something that I struggle with. I probably didn't do a good enough call to action in my Dear David Freiberger video, which, so I'll do it now. If you're watching now and you haven't seen my Dear David Freiberger video, please go watch it and please share it, because I thought I had actually connected with the real David Freiberger, but it wound up being someone who made a fake account, ripped off his I feel I hate that I fell for it too, but robbed his avatar and everything. And I think because I don't think YouTube has a rule against, because like I told you, there's 2 Greg's Garages out there. Like, I think you can actually have duplicate, literally names somehow. But then after a couple days, he changed it, because I remember like it said David Freiberger, but then a couple days later, it's just said David Freiberg. It's like the guy just was a troll to be a troll and knew it, and then after a
Yep.
couple of days, didn't want to get caught and fixed it. So yeah, sharing is like the biggest thing we all need to get a little better at. And Dan, I watch him every now and then. And we just had some more people drop in Momsen's Garage. But anyway, I think maybe that's where I met you, Jason, because I don't frequent that. I'm not religious, but I drop in every now and then on his as well. But we did have a couple questions come through the chat, and the first one was asked, and I'd have to go scroll back up through the comments. I think it was, I don't know. It may have been Twisted Art, but what is the hardest part about building a car? And I'll go first, and I'll just say, because I don't know that I would truly say I've built a car. I've modified almost everything I've owned to some degree. Usually nothing past the bolt-on stage. I mean, the EGR delete on my Jeep Liberty CRD was probably the most like took a leap of faith for me. But I also had at the time I was borrowing my parents' truck because I was trying to sell that thing, and so I had the opportunity to park it, spend my time, and if I ran into an obstacle or whatever, um, I didn't have to worry about how I was getting to work on Monday or whatever. So for me, the hardest part about building a car, and I'll put that in quotes for now because, like I said, I don't think I've really ever built a car, is fear. I think it's that I'm going to get into some because we've all dealt with some sort of like all I have to do is replace the shackles on my Ford F-150 is remove 4 bolts, but one bolt was rusted and a little bit tweaked, and it took a 3/4 inch drive, impactor wrench, a bunch of grease, and like 40 minutes to get one bolt out. It was a very easy task that turned into like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to cut this off and go find a grade 8 bolt at the hardware store that matches. Like I think for me, it's fear and anxiety, just that I'm gonna get into some situation that like a point of no return, or I screwed something up. And so again, that's what this project car is supposed to help me do, is just learn, like, because I've already tried talking myself out a couple things on the Fairmont already. It's just that, dude, just do it. Like the only way you're gonna learn is by doing it. So for me, it's fear.
And I get that, and sometimes the fear comes from maybe lack of experience or not having the help at your beck and call when you need it. Again, growing up as a son of a car guy or a mechanic, anytime that I ever had any issues, it was just a quick phone call. Dad, listen, this is what's going on. Can you give me some pointers, or can you come over, or whatever? Uh, so I can't say that the fear was ever a thing for me, just because even when I was a little kid, I would have no problem taking anything apart. In a lot of cases, it was putting it back together was where the challenge lies. So with this car here, um, I've I didn't paint the car. I have zero talent and patience when it comes to sanding and all that stuff. So my dad actually did the bodywork and painted this car, and so he has no fear. The '36 Dodge that he's the project car that he's working on right now. He painted that whole car himself. So that's just it was his passion to want to be able to do that. But when it come to the engine, I've rebuilt the engine. The rear end gears, Dad and my mechanic Tim. Basically, those guys kind of fought back and forth over who was going to set that up, because that's a pretty important job to set those gears up, uh, so that you don't blow up your rear end. But um, there's very rarely is there too much that I wouldn't tackle. And for me, I guess the biggest thing was the quid. Not having the money to do what you want to do. You know, do I have a list of things that I'd love to see on this car? Absolutely. I'd love to see a fuel injected Hemi in there. I'd love to see maybe even a supercharger on it. I'd like to see 600 horsepower. I'd like to see air ride suspension, rack and pinion steering, air conditioning. Hello. Um, there's all kinds of things that if money wasn't the object, then the only thing you're limited to at that point is your imagination. So it's for me, it's always been a money thing. Just because I'm self-employed and I've got my own business does not mean I have uh, a boatload of money. Um, it basically means that I don't pay myself enough, I guess, is what it boils down to. But the ability to have this car and have that. Do I want to have another project car someday? Sure, I do. You know, you and I were just back and forth on Instagram not too long ago about a Plymouth Volare. And I think it was a wagon that you sent me the picture of there. So, like, to me, is that car odd? It sure is. But can you do what you want with it to just your imagination run wild? Absolutely. The ultimate sleeper car, and those are the things that I love about the car that I have, this Cordoba. I can go to a car show with uh, 1800 to 2,000 cars and see maybe 3 or 4 other ones, right? It's not like a Mustang or a Camaro or a Challenger, a modern day Challenger, where you just go to the store and you buy one and you see yourself coming and going every day. No, this is something that's one of the things that I'm proud of, to have a 79 Cordova is a boat. Yep, it's a boat. But it's got it's got good power for me, and I can still work on it. And you just don't see yourself driving down the road every day. And you're going to find the same thing with your Fairmont, that you're going to get that up and running and working the way you want it to, and you'll be able to go to a Cars and Coffee or whatever you want. And I guarantee you will be the only one there with a Fairmont.
Actually, a coworker of mine sent me he went to a local car show and sent me a picture. Somebody had done a Futura Fairmont as well, and it was super clean. It's not going to be, mine's not going to get there, but that's okay. That's not what it's about. But no, you're exactly right. I actually wrote into Popular Hot Rodding one time in an editorial, for the same things he talked about. It's like, I love going to car shows for a point in my life, but then I got burnt out. Even though I still love muscle cars and Camaros and Barracudas and Challengers and Mustangs and Novas and Chevelles, they're all great cars. They all look great. I'm not trying to debate that one bit. It's like at some point you're like, nah, all right, cool, another '67 Mustang. Like, that's like the fifth one I saw tonight.
Yeah.
That's where the appeal was, and I might actually I should go grab my sketch pad. I might actually let you talk for a bit while I go grab that, but because I got a couple like that Volare, or did I don't even know if I say that right, Volare or Volare or whatever, but
We call it a Volare. So
Volare. See,
yeah.
Great. Now I'm doubting myself even more. But there were another thing is that Bearded Yakin just dropped in. What's going on, man? I bet you're excited for the Eagle season to start. But anyway, this is where my ADD is like, be a squirrel. A couple of people gave compliments about how they like this Know Your Neighbors format, and we're asking who the next person is. And honestly, I just scheduled the next one. I just kind of reach out to people. There are a couple channels there are like 3 channels I'd love to do. Some of my like oldest followers and people I've followed. Well, okay, 2 of those 3 are, but I'd really love to do Get It Garage. But their schedule, they work like in IT or something, to where they're kind of like always on the clock. So it's really hard to get them. I'm probably butchering that or making that up. So that's one. Rusty Glove Box is another one I'd really love to do. And then Double R Restorations, Russell, he's like in South Carolina, I think, but he's doing he's got 2 Camaros now. Let me see if I can remember the years. I think it's a 72. It's Project Overkill, which is like appropriately named because this guy is like restoring like fasteners inside of his door skin. Like, that is overkill. But then he's got an 81 Camaro as well that he will do eventually. And I'd love to get at least one of those 3 channels on for the next Know Your Neighbor, but it's a month by month thing. I got to figure out. I don't really know. Yeah, we go back to that advice of consistency, and I usually like to do these on Friday nights at 8:30 because that's just what randomly happened for the first one. But because of the 2-hour time difference, we upped it to 6:30 Central here, for Jason. So we're still doing it at 8:30 p.m. It's just not Central Time this go around. But I just kind of got to figure out what Friday night's going to work for me over the course of a month, and who can I reach out to. So that's that answer there. But I'm gonna go grab my sketch pad. Jason, if you have any thoughts or magic tricks, I'm gonna leave you entertaining the crowd for a second.
Well, I'm a pretty good singer, so we're going to get out the old guitar and we're going to start singing here. No, I guess the biggest part of being a YouTuber and having an audience of nobody when you're holding that camera, it takes a lot of getting used to. And I've been doing this since January of of this year, 2018. And the biggest thing that I have that I take issue with is being in public and having my camera, and I'm sitting here, looking and talking to my camera, and out of the corner of my eye, I see people looking at me. So that's the toughest part about being a YouTuber or a vlogger, is sitting there trying to figure out, how can I hold this camera? How can I get my point across to my viewers and without looking like a knob to everybody else around me who's watching me vlog and doesn't know what the heck is going on? So when I'm out on my lot, I I'm constantly aware of the cars driving by for two reasons. One is the noise, but all they're seeing is this 6'2" redheaded bearded guy holding a camera in front of his face. What's he doing? So that was one of the biggest things for me to overcome, was getting used to talking to an inanimate object. So it's coming. I'm a little less tense and stiff in front of the camera today than what I was, 7 or 8 months ago when I first started doing this. So uh, that's one of the things that you do. You grow a little bit, and learning, um, how to do better edits and V-roll and different stuff like that. So just I'm having fun with it. I'm growing every day.
Yeah, and I think
Does
if
that
the
make
reverse true, if you mastered it on day one, it would eventually you'd get bored with it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
well, anyway, so here I went and grabbed some of my best sketches. This was actually a college illustration class. With this is all Prismacolor. Boy, I'm trying to get this straightened up with the camera first. Colored pencil is what this was done in. Oh, that was like 2008. The Volare that Jason mentioned, this was that idea, and this was this might be, hopefully this is mirrored. Is this coming across mirrored for everybody?
No, I can read it.
Okay, all right, it's mirrored on my. Well, that's good. But anyway, I just would see these cars on Craigslist when I couldn't afford to buy a project car. This particular one, I think, was a 318 car, and it wasn't running. But I just thought it was the blue wasn't quite like the 1970s like AR Cuda blue, but I thought, hey, that'd be a really cool color for one of these. Lower it, on like a 1918 combo or something. Put that GTX air grabber hood on it, flat black hood was kind of the idea there. I thought that could be a pretty cool little car. Again, this is me loving or trying to get creative with cars between 1973 and 1978. This is my there was a Ford Granada on Craigslist for a while, and my degree is interior architecture and product design, and I remember one of the projects we had to do, or one of the first basic skills, we had like a furniture design work class, and we had to smooth out acrylic. We had to like buff out acrylic and the edges. You can make acrylic clear plastic be clear on the edge profile, and I thought, how cool it'd be to like make your own sort of like Euro clear taillights for this car, because they have a pretty simple um, taillight housing. In this particular car, again, this was on Craigslist. I think that one was, it was dirt cheap, but it was funny because you watch Craigslist long enough, like it resurfaced later and it had more problems later, like, and you knew it was the same car, but it was white. So that's that one. Oh, these were early day design logos. Trying to figure out um, what to do for the channel art. I don't know if I have any other in here at the moment, but then this one was done in 2010. 1973 Ford Ranchero. And again, so like my dream job is to be like a chip foose, was to draw the things, get everybody inspired, and then build the thing. And so that was circa 2010. And then when I was getting desperate before I bought the Fairmont, I told myself I was going to try to fight off the urge to buy a four-door of any kind, but there were some really clean, like this was a 65 Coronet. I was out there and at the time, and this was just like months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and this one was, I don't even know, 62 Fairlane, 6 maybe. Um, I was really into the whole Detroit steel wheels. You can probably tell this in this one best. That's what I was going for there. But I just, so the whole idea with my project car, my budget project cars here is that, like I'm going to do it this year. I would love to flip it, make a profit. I would love to, but if I don't, it's not that big a deal. It's more about, well, for one, if I don't get the price I want, like I will have built a car I should enjoy driving enough, and I'll just keep driving it. So doesn't matter. I don't have to sell it right away is one thing. But the other part is that if I can flip it, then next summer I want to basically do the same thing over again with a different car. So anyway, just thought I'd share all that. And I don't know if I missed anything in the comments when I was holding pieces of paper in front of my face, but that's that.
I'll make a note too, Grant, that when you're looking for that cheap project car, don't let um, the whole two-door coupe versus four-door thing scare you away, because there are guys out there who will take a budget build in a four-door Falcon, for instance, or a four-door Bel Air with the posts and the windows and stuff like that, and they can make just as nice of a project car out of one of those. And I think that as car guys, we understand that how much of a difference just a set of wheels and tires does to any vehicle. So you take a four-door K car or anything like that and put a nice set of wheels on it, tint the windows, and there's a project car. So don't you're only limited by your imaginations and your pocketbook, I guess. But
Yeah.
don't always exclude a four-door car just because you don't think it's cool. Make it cool.
Well, and so that's actually a really good point to make, because it's not that I'm afraid of the four door. I'm afraid of selling the four door, because there's only so many people like you and me, Jason, out there. So just from the investment side of things, it was just, that's why. And again, if you haven't watched my Dear David Freiberger video, I laid out the ground rules for what I was looking for in a project car. And again, it's not that I wouldn't ever consider one. It's just like, I know my chances of doing what I ultimately want, is just more reasonable if I stuck to my guns. And so that's partially what I was kind of meaning there. So
Well, yeah, and you do have to set some ground rules for when it comes to buying a car, based on uh, what you like and what your budget allows, and if it is just something that you're going to flip, is at the end of the day, is it something that's going to flip quick because it is popular, or because it does look cool? And I guess that's really what I was getting at when I said, don't always just instantly pass up a four-door project car, because if you make it look cool enough and you do, make it look unique enough, you will open up and attract a broader audience. I think that's really all I was getting at.
yeah. Yeah, like I mean next year, like I'd love to just learn how to install airbags. Like I would love to just find something that just runs really good. One trick pony, just bag the thing, put it on some nice wheels
Yeah.
and just be done. Like that's what I'm gonna cruise around with in the summer. I Chevaholic, Jason, if you don't know who that is, he's a pretty good, he doesn't do a whole lot of YouTube content anymore, but really good Instagram follow. He has it's a four door, but it's like the they make four door cutlasses. I think it's the
Yeah.
F85, like the like early like 65, 66 body style. But he swapped in like a 6 point, like one of those, not before they had Duramaxes, like a 6.5 liter diesel into the thing. So it's just like this. It's just so weird, but it just works and it's cool as hell. Like it just goes out for summer cruises and he takes his picture of the Wisconsin countryside on summer
Yeah.
nights, and that's just his reliable go cruise in an old car. And there's just something to be said about that. There's just something totally free and honest and just awesome. So, which by the way, so I'll give you this out now, Jason. I usually try to keep these close to an hour, and we've gone for like an hour 20. So we don't have to keep going for forever. I know it's your birthday, but I just want to tell you thanks for coming on. Abs first off. But yeah, if you wanted to, I mean, I can keep going, but at the same time, I want you to get your life back at what is now 9:52 local time for you.
Well, I guess yeah, I'm okay with wrapping it up, I guess, and I guess I should take this opportunity to say thank you, Grant, for having me on your show, and that's one thing that when you get two guys or gals, whatever, that have something in common, you can sit and you can talk about it all night, whether there's an audience or not. So I think having this opportunity to do it in front of the camera with a little bit of an audience, it's different for me because I've never done that before in the form of a live stream. But I think the opportunity someday for us to meet up in person is not too untangible because I don't think you're that far away, and it might be worth a road trip sometime, and to meet up with you and see what kind of project you're working on then. But I think this has been a humbling experience to be able to sit here and talk and share a little bit about not just my passions, my car, my business, but my channel as well, and and have some viewers out there who appreciate the same things that we do, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier to talk about it when you've got like-minded people in your audience. So thank you.
Hey, well, it was my pleasure, and I mean, this is exactly what this segment's supposed to do. It's supposed to find the people. It's supposed to try to help expose common threads, not just between me and you, but between you and the potential next subscriber. And I know some people just dropped in here lately, but that's gonna do it for the show. Again, this will be yeah, I will post this as a video after we're done. Um, but like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already checked out Jason's channel, and that is Olde Carr Auto Guy. Of course, your information's right there in the title. Um, do that, and until next time, peace out.